Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming a gorgeous lady from one of the classic sitcoms of the 80s, Lydia Cornell. Lydia Cornell, of course, was on Too Close for Comfort with Ted Knight and another guest of mine, Dina Freeman. I'm having her on the show today to talk about that. She was also in the classic low-budget horror movie Blood Tide, and she was on so many different TV shows like Love Boat, Dukes of Hazzard, Full House, and she's been a recovered alcoholic for quite some time, which I'd like to get into as well because, as a lot of you know, I am also a recovering alcoholic. And she comes from a musical background, too. She used to work for a music studio, and she got to know a lot of big-name musicians back in the day. And I can't wait to have her on today. It's going to be another interesting conversation during this time of quarantine. I can't believe how quiet it is outside, you know? It's just so quiet now that this has been really good for all of us. This whole quarantine thing, even though I miss going out and doing things and business as usual happening, this has been a really good time for us to just sit and think, you know? It's just really profound. So, here is my interview with Lydia Cornell. Hey, Lydia.
Hey, Tommy. I'm wondering if this landline sounds better. Does it sound clear?
That sounds really good.
Okay, otherwise I think it's better than my cell phone, frankly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Most cell phones don't sound great.
Okay, cool. So where do you live again? I forgot.
Redding, California.
Oh, you're in Redding. What's it like up there, or in there? Inward, right?
It's boring, secluded. There's really nothing here.
not very positive. I'm sorry. I thought Redding was kind of cool. I think one of my uncles was from there.
The key word is subjective. You know, some people like it.
Yeah.
You know, but this is such a great honor. Thank you for taking the time today.
Oh, you're welcome. How are you feeling and doing, by the way?
I got a little bit of some kind of a cold, but yeah. I'm already going to the doctor on Tuesday to do a follow-up from my physical I had back in November, so that's under control, but I feel okay overall.
Oh, good. I woke up kind of feeling sniffly, but now it's gone away, so trying to, we're feeling healthy here, but I'm still kind of I'm not fond of running out to the market when I don't have to, you know?
Yeah.
I need veganese. I need this vegan mayonnaise. I don't know where to get it.
We're trying to go out as little as possible.
Are you married?
No.
You have kids?
No, it's just me, my mother, and our cat.
Oh, you have your mom with you.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And also, what happened? Did you have physical therapy for some reason?
I had a car accident about 5 years ago.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Really?
Yeah, because I wouldn't be doing this.
Oh, I see. There's a silver lining in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Absolutely. But I'm so glad that we're doing this, though. And I'd like to go back in time. I know that both of your parents were involved in music. Was that your original trajectory as well?
Wait, have you started recording? Can you hang on one sec?
I always start right when the call happens.
Are you allowed to interrupt it?
No, go ahead.
Or edit? Hang on one sec. Mm-hmm.
I can edit, yeah. We can start over again.
Oh, it's okay. I just wanted to clear my throat. Okay, so go ahead. Ask me the question.
Okay, so going back in time, I know that both of your parents were involved in music. Was that your original trajectory as well?
Well, I took violin lessons when I was 6 years old, and I had a baby violin, a beautiful little violin, and my violin teacher was Abraham Chavez in El Paso, Texas. And he used to pinch my cheeks and lean down and go, "You're so cute," and pinch my cheeks.
Yeah.
And one time I kicked him in the shins because I came up to his kneecaps. I didn't love violin. It was very difficult for me. It's a very difficult instrument for a child, and I had to practice. But my father was first violin in the El Paso Symphony, and we had chamber music at our house every Tuesday night. My mother took up the violin as well, and it was fun having music all around all the time. I fell in love with the theater by going backstage during an opera production of Pinocchio. My father was in the orchestra pit, and during rehearsals, he let me wander around backstage, and I fell in love with the theater, just the set design and the scenery. There was a big fake whale with gauze and a lantern inside the whale, and actors could go inside, and you could see them through the gauzy window from the belly of the whale.
Yeah.
And there were big wooden waves that were painted blue. It looked just like the ocean, and I was so intrigued by the set and the scenery and the sense of make-believe that I fell in love. And I didn't know you could be an actress as a living, but I always wanted to be around the theater at that point, from that point on.
Yeah, my dad, he was in a band when I was a kid for about 3 years.
What kind of band? A rock band?
Yeah, they were doing hard rock and heavy metal covers. They were a trio.
Oh, cool.
Their own songs were terrible, and most of their covers were terrible, but they had fun doing it.
I love it. Oh my God, how fun to have a rock and roll dad.
Yeah, I don't have any musical talent whatsoever, but I love music and I respect music.
Me too. But I took ballet as a child, and I spoke Spanish fluently. I loved El Paso because we got to learn Spanish. It was almost a bilingual city.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a theater company in the backyard. I think I was 8 years old and 7 years old, 8, 9, and 10. And I put on plays in the backyard over the sandbox. My dad built me a sandbox with a bamboo curtain.
Yeah.
And I used to kind of rope all the neighborhood kids into being in all my plays, but they wouldn't. All the girls would play. They wanted to be the princesses, and I had to play the boy.
I like how you say that. I had a theater company in the backyard. That's so cute.
It was really, when you just feel like you're creative, and the most fun part was building the scenery. I was into making a fake fireplace and putting on, a three-dimensional poster board. Like I would use 3 poster boards and put the flames behind the main poster board. I just remember drawing a lot and being into art, creating the sets.
Yeah.
Maybe I meant to be a set designer.
Yeah. So you started out in El Paso, Texas, but then when you were 13, you moved to New York?
I was 11.
Oh, okay.
Actually, we moved when I was 11. It was a shock, a complete culture shock. My dad had lost his job. He owned a roofing. He was born in Russia, raised in Shanghai, China, and he became a violinist. He played for the State Symphony. And when the communists came to lock China, the Japanese invaded China, and the communists took over, and they locked him in the city, and he was all set to go to America. He had gotten into one of the top music schools in America. I can't remember the name of it. It was like Juilliard. I'll find out the name later. But he couldn't leave for 10 more years, so he was stuck in China playing violin. When he finally got out, he went straight to Berkeley and became a music teacher. And then he met my mother. He started playing in the orchestra pit in the movies, for the Susan Hayward and different movies. And my mother had run away from home at 16, and she went to live with Aunt Evelyn, who was a shirt maker to the stars. She made shirts for Humphrey Bogart and all the stars.
Oh.
So she lived with her Aunt Evelyn in Hollywood, and she went to the Hollywood Bowl one night, and my dad was playing violin, and they met somehow.
Huh.
And she dragged him back to Texas, and he became, you couldn't make a living as a violinist, really, so he became a roofer. He owned a roofing company. And he had all Mexican labor. We had a lot of wonderful Mexican friends, and across the border a lot from Juarez, El Paso border. So long story short, he lost his roofing company. His partner swindled him out of 200 houses that he was supposed to put the roofs on. And it was devastating. And all I remember was they were crying, and they were trying to figure out how to hide the car so Grandma wouldn't know we're leaving. And my dad was offered a job in New York with a shipping company.
It was all fate.
It was fate. From a childhood friend from Russia who was a billionaire, and he said, "Grisha, it's Misha, come to New York City." And it was a culture shock. I moved to New York, and I felt like a fish out of water. And I started curtsying in the halls to all the kids, because in Texas I was brought up to bow and curtsy.
Yeah.
And then in New York, curtsying, I felt like such a weirdo. I was really stamped, she's a weirdo, you know.
Yeah.
A nerd.
So after high school, you attended the University of Boulder, Colorado, and you worked at a studio during your summer vacations, and you got to be surrounded by some rock and roll heavyweights.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was such a dream come true, because I was obsessed with rock and roll, and I knew there was a secret recording studio up in the hills of Netherlands, above where the Pioneer Inn is. One bar and one street, and then there's Caribou Ranch, and it's got gates and guards holding guns.
Yeah.
Like harder to get into than the White House. So I knew about it, but I was in the business school getting a Bachelor of Science degree in business. And believe me, I don't know anything about, I couldn't even do accounting classes at all. I'm not mathematical. So it was a very tough degree to get. But there was a chance to invite some music promoters. I decided to put together a conference and invite music people to come speak because I wanted to meet them. So I was a marketing major. So I invited Barry Fay, who was the concert promoter in Denver, Chuck Morris, who owned the top club in Boulder called Tulagi's on the Hill, where kind of local bands would play. And I've been trying to get into Caribou Ranch for about a year and a half. I couldn't get in. I couldn't figure out how to get in. So I invite these two promoters to come speak at the business school, and afterwards they go, "Hey, would you like to have dinner with us at the Red Lion Inn in Nederland, in the Sunshine Canyon?" And we went there together, and Jimmy Gerstio, the owner of Caribou Ranch, was sitting there across from me. He joined us for dinner, and he goes, "Hey, have you ever been up to Caribou Ranch?" And I said, "No." He goes, "Would you like to come up?" And I kind of manifested it. You know, I just thought it. I was so determined. It kind of just happened. And then he offered me a job.
Wow.
So I had to move up to, it was during the summer between junior and senior year, and I had to move up there. So I rented a room above the Pioneer Inn, the bar, and I became a kitchen girl, and I picked up celebrities from the airport. So I got to pick up Joni Mitchell.
Wow.
And Dan Fogelberg, America, the band America.
Yeah.
Horse with No Name. So Jerry Beckley and I became friends, and then I picked up Billy Joel in the snowstorm, and I picked up his whole band, and I crashed the entire Suburban into a snowbank. I crashed Billy Joel into a snowbank, and I got fired.
Oh, man.
But Billy Joel saved my job. He said, "If you fire her, I'm not going to record my album here."
That's awesome.
Like a really crazy time.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I just started interviewing musicians finally at the end of last year. They're very difficult to get in touch with.
Really?
And try to book. Yeah, because they got management protecting them, and they're seeing a lot more than actors, I think. You know, they have more boundaries, and, you know, they just, it's hard to get in touch with them, you know, but I've gotten, you know, at least under a dozen really good ones, and hopefully I'll get more this year.
Who'd you get? Who's your favorite?
Okay, well, let's see. I love 80s new wave rock, you know, so I had I have Marv Ross from Quarter Flash on.
Oh, wow.
I had Mario Cipollina from Huey Lewis and the News.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Johnny Vato Hernandez from Oingo Boingo just recently.
Oh, I love Oingo Boingo.
Yeah. And, oh, God, who else?
What about the Psychedelic Furs and all those bands? Remember that era?
Oh, yeah, I love all those bands.
I love those bands. Oh.
I've reached out
Tears for Fears, Depeche Mode.
Yeah, reached out to all of them. No response.
Oh, darn. In Excess, The Cure. I was into The Cure big time.
Oh, The Cure is great. I think they were going to do a tour before this quarantine happened.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of really cool bands from that era that was my favorite era, by the way.
Mine too.
But
yeah.
I did get to meet the Beach Boys. I got to go out. I went out on a couple days with Dennis Wilson up at the ranch and waited on Carole King. I made her tacos.
What was Dennis Wilson like?
He was so cute in those days. He had long hair. I mean, I was so sad for what happened to him. Didn't he He committed suicide, didn't he?
I think so, yeah.
Sad. There was a lot, I have to admit, there were a lot of drugs up at the ranch in those days. And I was hanging out with Chicago, Bobby Lamb. I ran into Bobby Lamb years later, and I said, remember Caribou? We were sitting around your piano, and Ouray and Running Bear, all the cabins had different names.
Yeah.
The Lodge, Ouray, Running Bear, and a couple other. And he goes, I don't remember any of those years at all. Everyone was so drugged out, I have to tell you.
Yeah.
Mounds of white snow on the piano tops.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And David Cassidy was up there.
David Cassidy, yeah. So where did you study acting?
My whole life I wanted to, since I was 5 years old, I wanted to be an actress. Because of that incident. Well, that was when I was 8 years old, Pinocchio backstage. We went to Disneyland from El Paso to Hollywood. We drove all the way, and we stayed near the Travel Lodge. And I remember Disneyland being such a magical place that I decided I wanted to be Walt Disney. I wanted to be like an inventor and a creator.
Yeah.
The fastest way to do that is to be an actress. Because I started watching the Haley Mills movies and The Parent Trap and all those cool, The Trouble with Angels, all those movies. So that's when I wanted to be one. So I started taking classes at the Y in El Paso when I was 10 and 11. Then we moved to New York, and just a culture shock adjusting to New York. From El Paso to, I'd never seen trees except in New Mexico. So I wandered around getting my bearings straight, and by freshman year I decided to join the drama club. And I had one best friend in high school, Monroe Mendelsohn. He was gay, and he wore glitter sneakers. And in those days, there weren't a lot of gay people. You didn't really hear of it a lot.
Yeah.
But he was just so much fun. He was like my best friend in the world and the only person I would hang out with because I was an outcast. So we joined the drama club, and we auditioned for every play. And we auditioned for Othello. And we didn't get the part. We got the parts as torchbearers. So I had this really bad acne.
Yeah.
And we both had, kids have kind of their skins breaking out in that time.
Yeah.
So we both wore our hair plastered against our faces, like sideburns.
Yeah.
And this is how I remember in retrospect. Nobody else remembers me having bad skin, but I thought it was, So we got the parts as torchbearers, and we stood behind the beautiful Desdemona. Was a girl named Siri Lundstedt got the part. She had long blonde hair, and we were just like extras, and we were like shouting behind her back, going, "Kill her, kill her, kill her." Anyway, I was in a lot of plays. I was in Othello. I was in Enemy of the People by Ibsen, and Monroe played Aslickson. So we were in a major production, Scarsdale High School.
Wow.
And I was in Playboy of the Western World and lots of little theater workshops.
Oh, I thought you were...
I remember taking high school acting class, and I did a monologue from The Glass Menagerie. I played the brother, the opening monologue, and it's use your imagination and you get carried away. And the teacher was looking up at me, and he went, "Oh my God, I'm riveted. This is an incredible performance. You've totally swept me away." And from that moment on, I figured, I must have talent. I want to do this.
Yeah.
It's like you felt like, ooh, somebody liked it. It's that thrilling feeling of being, getting a laugh or getting someone to applaud. It's sort of an ego thing.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for that Lydia Cornell theme park.
Is that a joke?
Yeah, because you said that you wanted to be Walt Disney.
oh, that is so funny. Yes. Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to just be a girl. I'd always been like an inventor and a creative artist. So then when I was told I had to be pretty, it was like, oh no, I've got to work on being pretty and I can't be creative anymore. Because in those days you were taught as a woman, as a girl, you had to be perfect looking.
Yeah.
Like my mom would spend hours doing my hair in long ringlets. And she would go, you have to look perfect at all times. Children should be seen and not heard. And I had to wear white gloves, and I had to curtsy. And it was like, oh my God, you've taken away all my creativity. So I wanted to be a boy, but not I'm not gay, but I wanted to be a person who had, I was kind of motivated by imagination and adventure and ideas, not lipstick and lip gloss and designer handbags. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Were you a tomboy?
No, well, yes, I was. I had a skateboard. I had an imaginary world called Garageville.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember skateboarding a lot, and I fell straight on my face. Didn't break my nose. I skinned it really bad. But all around my neighborhood, I skateboarded up and down, all around the block in El Paso. And I had a secret little world called Garage. I don't know if I'm telling you all this. I just remembered it. Garageville, which I don't know what that is, but all my friends we'd hide behind people's backyards and.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I grew up in a neighborhood. It was all tomboys. I've been hanging out with girls forever.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you grow up in Redding?
No, in San Mateo, California.
That's pretty up there.
Oh yeah, it is. I miss how the place used to be. It's too techy now, but back then it was a nice little town in San Francisco, you know.
Yeah, gorgeous. But aren't you on property value? Is Redding near there?
Is it what?
Is it Redding up there near San Mateo?
No, it's about 3.5 hours away. It's in Northern California.
Because I was thinking the property value skyrocketed in that area if you kept on held on to your original house.
In the Bay Area, yeah.
Yeah.
It was sad. My mom and I lost everything in 2013. We had to get out.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Really?
Yeah. That's a long story, though.
But wow. I'll have you on my podcast.
That would be awesome if I could be on your podcast.
Hear your story.
Yeah. But what year did you move to L.A.?
Well, okay, so I was in Scarsdale High School. By the way, Scarsdale is like the Beverly Hills of New York.
Right.
And we didn't fit there at all. My father was a violinist, and he got this job as an executive at a shipping company. But in those days, you made $10,000 a year, I think, was the salary. I don't remember. We don't know, but it was really a struggle to keep up with the Joneses in Scarsdale. So we didn't fit in. I wanted to be Jewish in the worst way. I wanted to be a Jewish male comic, but my parents weren't supportive.
I like that.
I write comedy. But I wasn't allowed to date, and I didn't know. I was so into boys, and I had crushes on every boy. There was certain long hair. I liked really long hair on guys.
I had a crush on every girl in school, so I can relate.
But my parents were so paranoid. My mother was obsessed with. She thought about sex all day long. She was, "Don't you dare talk on the phone with a boy in the dark." She was paranoid. I went, "Mom, it's just Monroe. My only friend is Monroe." So I took my gay friend to the prom. My mother was bipolar. We didn't know it till just 3 years ago.
Oh.
And I've forgiven her completely, but she was so abusive to me. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
I grew up in a very, I don't know what it was. She just didn't like me. She didn't want me to be. She didn't want me to be sexy, but she wanted me to be pretty and perfect. But if I tried to, I was looking at myself in the mirror one day, combing my long hair at 16 years old, combing my hair over my face to see if I could hide the breakout, you know. And she was lurking in the hallway watching me, and she came into the room, and she goes, "You think you're pretty with that long hippie hair?" And she grabbed the largest pair of, all I had with my hair was my security blanket was my hair, and it went down to my waist. Mm-hmm. Long, wavy, golden brown hair. And she grabbed it, and she took the largest pair of sewing scissors we had. Mm-hmm. She chopped it off above my ears, like a freak. I mean, it looked like a jagged pixie cut. And I couldn't go to the junior prom, and I ended up just having to wear a scarf to school. She doesn't remember ever doing that, and I've forgiven her completely. But my whole story of life is about my mother making peace with her finally.
Oh.
And recently I went to see her. She's 91, and she's on the right medication. And all these years later, we didn't know she was bipolar. So, and she had a tragic childhood as well. She was locked in a closet for days on end by her mother. Oh. She suffered through a lot of things we didn't know about. And I was able to completely forgive her. And I held her in my arms, and I said, "You are the best mother in the world." That's all she ever wanted me to say. You are the best mother in the world. She had so much shame and guilt over all of that, you know? Yeah,
that sounds like my mother's relationship with my grandmother, the same kind of thing. I don't know if it ever got resolved that way, but it was pretty bad too.
Oh, wow.
My grandmother abused my mom pretty bad. And the funny thing is, she mellowed by the time I was born, right? Mm-hmm. So I didn't get to see her be that abusive, though, but I did see her scream a lot and get upset, She spent some time in a mental institution back in the 50s when they were giving electric shock treatment.
Oh, my God, that's right. That was good. That was kind of prevalent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was she okay after that?
My grandmother, no, she just got progressively worse until I was born, and then she mellowed out.
Wow, that's amazing. We all have these strange backgrounds. A lot of people I'm talking to lately were abused, and you can't blame. I kind of blame. You can't blame anyone. It's some sort of internal psychology, pathology. But our society has a lot to do with the perfectionism that women feel. Like my mother felt like you had to be perfect. The little girls aren't allowed to speak, and you can't speak out of turn, and you have to be small and invisible. And she raised me that way, like you must be small and invisible, perfect, like a doll on a shelf. And it was really hard to be that way. I couldn't. I was too creative.
Yeah. So how does Too Close for Comfort come into your life?
Well, wait, so after high school, I graduated and went to college in Boulder, Colorado.
Right.
And then my father, I just graduated college, and I've been writing letters to people. They moved to Holland, because he was in the shipping industry, and he had to be near Rotterdam. Wait, am I on speakerphone now? Can you hear that?
I can still hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they moved to The Hague, Holland. And during that time, I would visit them Christmas and summers. I'd stay in Holland with my parents, and my sister and I got to go to Paris, and we took the English Channel ferry boat to Brussels and Belgium, and we took a train to Paris, and we hung out on the left bank cafes, all the jazz clubs, and we did a lot of traveling. And then my father had a massive heart attack. And so I went to, he had a heart attack in London, and he was put on a balloon pump in Leiden, Holland Heart Hospital. And I stayed with him by his side with my mother and the whole family. And in between, we'd take turns, but back at home I would watch Dutch TV. They'd have American shows, and I wanted to be an actress so badly, and I thought, how am I going to get to Hollywood and do this? So I'd watch the end of every show, would have the credits, and I'd start writing personal letters to every producer. And I mailed these letters to people, I must have mailed 50 letters to producers at the end of every show you'd see. And that one action, it didn't really arrive on anyone's desk. None of those things came true, but it was the intention of putting forth that action. It kind of brought me all this luck when I got to Hollywood. So I walk in. I drove out from Boulder, Colorado in my Ford Cortina, carrying a U-Haul. And I got there, and I had a job waiting for me at Epic Records, a temporary job, because I was working in the music industry, and I rode men as Michael Murphy. Wrote Wildfire.
Was Tommy Mottola there?
Yeah.
Just lucky guess.
Yeah. Isn't he, what's your name's boyfriend?
I don't know that, but I just know that he was the president of Epic Records later, and he had a feud with Michael Jackson.
That's right. So I worked for Epic for a little short time, and I met a guy on Sunset Boulevard named David Liebert. He was managing the Runaways and Alice Cooper.
Nice.
And we became boyfriend and girlfriend, and he introduced me to Shep Gordon, who managed Alice Cooper, and we hung out with Alice. And it was a fun beginning of Hollywood. And in those days, people were kind of doing drugs in public. They were doing cocaine out in public, Alice and Charlie's. And David and I were dating, and then suddenly I get this news. My dad had a massive, that's right. I had come to Hollywood first, and my dad had this massive heart attack. So I went back to Europe, and then when I came back to America after he died, I worked for Jack Webb. I walked onto the lot at Golden Studios, handed out my resume. I sneaked onto the lot, and Jack Webb hired me to work for Mark 7 Productions. And they were producing a show with Mark Harmon, Leslie Nielsen, and Lana Turner, famous actress Lana Turner.
Yeah.
So I'm working for this producer upstairs, And we're producing this movie, and I suddenly see these photographs about the Trotsky assassination. And he says, would you like to write the script for this? And I went, I'm going to write a book. So I started writing a book on Stalin and Trotsky, a big Russian epic about the Soviet dictator. And I'm having these high dreams of becoming a writer, but I really want to secretly be an actress. And Linwood Boomer is sitting there. He's a Xerox copy boy. And I'm the secretary. And Mark Harmon's coming in and out. We're doing makeup tests on him. And Leslie Nielsen's using his whoopee cushion on everyone. We're producing a movie called Little Mo about the tennis star. Lana Turner comes in, and we have to dye her hair dark. So I'm sitting there with the Xerox copy boy, and he's a guy named Linwood Boomer, and we're talking about our dreams of becoming actors. Cut to a year later, I'm on Too Close for Comfort, and he's on Little House on the Prairie, playing the blind preacher, Melissa Sue Anderson's husband, I think. And then he and I, 3 years later, we're starring in Love Boat together. He plays my love interest in Love Boat. And then a few years later, he creates Malcolm in the Middle. He's the creator of that show.
Yeah.
So it was a really cool beginning, and I auditioned for Too Close for Comfort. I remember, I think I said, I've got to go to the bathroom, and I said I ran out to an audition. That's what you had to do because you couldn't leave work. And the third audition I got was for this show called Too Close for Comfort. I took a bus. So this must have been after a different audition, and I couldn't get there because it was raining and it was hailing or something. It was really a rainy day.
Yeah.
And I had to wear a tight leather sweater and look like a cheerleader. And I stumble in. I'm kind of late. I'm 30 minutes late. And the secretary goes, I'm sorry, we've seen all the girls. They saw 400 girls this week. It's too late. She's literally said it's too late. And the producers come out. Ari Sultan, who created Get Smart with Mel Brooks, he and the other writer come out. And they go, let her come in. She came all this way. She looks the part. And I go in and I sit down and I read with the casting people. And I'm reading with Arnie, the producer. And there's a line that says, Sarah gives Dad a raspberry. And I go, in case you haven't noticed, we're two very sophisticated young women. So I reach into this imaginary, I reach down, I pick up an imaginary raspberry.
Yeah.
And I thrust it at him. And I go, so there. And he goes, what the hell? What the hell are you giving me here? And I go, I'm giving you a raspberry. He goes, oh my God. They laughed so hard. The room exploded with laughter. There was Tom Warner was in the room too. He was the network, ABC network guy.
Right.
And they were like, she's perfect. And they go, what planet are you from? I think I said Texas. And then they go, if you meet the network tomorrow, be at the network tomorrow morning, you're going to meet the head of ABC. And it was the callback. There were 5 girls left. And they'd chosen 5 of us as the 5 finalists. And I wore a virginal white flowered dress, and I walk in, and all the other girls were wearing skin-tight jeans and cutoffs, and nipples are hanging out, and I looked like a virgin. And I read with Ted Knight, and they were howling with laughter, and they were all clapping. And they go, well, we never do this. We usually call your agent first, but we'd like you to be Sarah. And I was sort of shell-shocked. I didn't know what, I'm brand kind of new in town, don't know anything. And there's a girl standing there. She was already cast as my sister, Deborah von Valkenburg.
Yeah.
And she's standing there looking at me, and she goes, what's your name? What's your last name again? I said, Lydia Cornell. It's a Russian name. It's really embarrassing. It's so long. I need to get a shorter name. And she goes, Kornilov, with a K? And I went, yeah. She goes, I work for a Gregory Kornilov in New York City, but he moved to Holland. And I went, that's my dad. It's like a God shot. So we've been very close friends ever since then, and she's like my real sister.
Oh.
I directed her in a movie. She's like, I don't know, that was such a cool thing out of 10 million people in New York City for her to have worked for my father,
Yeah.
He died.
Now, I've talked to Dina Freeman and other people who worked with Ted Knight, and from what I gather, he wasn't a very happy or warm guy.
Dina said that?
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks that. He was very complex, and he seemed stressed about making it, constantly having to prove himself, and, this had to be his big hit show. So if anything went wrong, he got really, I don't know, he put too much pressure on himself. I had a love-hate relationship with him, but I really loved him. I mean, I cried at the funeral with Mary Tyler Moore and Ed Asner. We were crying harder than anybody. I was on the front row blubbering.
That's so sad. He was such a talented guy, you know?
So talented, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think maybe he was bitter because he got so successful later in life?
Yeah. I think actors, I don't know, it's a shallow, hollow profession. It's so competitive.
Yeah.
There's so much rejection in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
You have to find your soul in this pornographic world. I call it a pornographic world, Hollywood.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah, it's like you have to find some reason to help others and stop thinking of yourself all day long. Ego is edging God out. That's what I look at it as. So I've done a lot of self-reflection on how I can keep my head above water in this town, which just wants to constantly gossip about you and put you down, and they want to think the worst. But I remember he was jealous of Deborah and myself having our own show, because the network thought we were really funny together. We had a lot of fight scenes where we could have had a spin-off, and he killed the idea. He didn't want us to thrive or shine, because whenever we had too many scenes together where we got more attention, he said, no, I want to be in every scene that they're in. And I shouldn't say this, and maybe I'm wrong, but that's the feeling I got.
Yeah, that's what Cindy Williams did on Laverne and Shirley. She wanted to have all the best lines. She wanted to be in every scene. Yeah.
You're kidding.
Yeah, that's what I've been told by a few people.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But you need to, the more the merrier. Like, if you have two other characters that are doing really cool things together, let them shine, and then you could have a spin-off and more, Ted owned the show anyway. He would have made profit.
Yeah. That's sad.
And he was so funny. He didn't have to. Less is more. He actually said that to me. He used to say to me, less is more. Don't mug for the cameras. Like, I remember I wouldn't look right him in the eye because I was scared of him. So I would look at his forehead, and he kept standing on his toes to get in my eye line. And he would yell at me a lot, though. Like, I touched my nose once in the middle of his punchline, and he goes, "What's wrong with her?" Like, really loud. Instead of just saying, honey, I know you're new. You shouldn't move on an actor's punchline. I needed guidance, because it was a scary world to be thrust out into national stardom and then be given bikini posters. They pushed those out there, and Ted got jealous because I was on the cover of all these magazines.
Yeah.
And he goes, "I'm the star of the show," and I went, "ABC did this to promote the show. It's not I didn't do it."
Oh, he just wasn't grateful then.
Yeah, that's right. Gratitude.
One of my favorite stories I heard from a couple people I talked to from Caddyshack, there was this day where Ted accused Rodney Dangerfield of taking a stinky dump in his trailer. And
what?
Yeah.
Is that a joke, or was it supposed to be funny?
It's true. And as it turns out, it wasn't Rodney at all, because him and Rodney didn't get along on that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So as it turns out, it was Chevy Chase who did it, and he knew that if he did that Ted would accuse Rodney of doing it.
You're kidding.
No.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah.
Chevy Chase did it on purpose. He took a dump in his trailer?
Yes.
Like on the floor?
I don't know if it was on the floor, but...
Oh, that weird.
The smell was bad.
Oh my God. I heard Chevy Chase wasn't so nice to people.
Yeah, especially after he started taking pills for his back, it really started happening. Because I've heard a lot of people say in the early years that he was the nicest guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I hate when I hear people aren't nice. Because if you can't be nice, then it just kills the whole spirit of everything.
I know.
You can't be good to other people, and what's the point of anything? No one wants you around.
Yeah, one of my heroes is Jerry Lewis, and when I hear all these stories
Right.
about bad stuff that he did, it's so sad,
It's ego. I know. It's like, why in the world? You're given all this incredible opportunity to do good in the world, and you screw it up. It's an asshole. Yeah.
It's sad. Yeah. How was working with Jim J. Bullock?
He's my fave. I don't know if you heard these stories earlier, but I used to have a crush on him, like a real crush.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know he was gay, and he's so adorable. Oh, my God. And I would go to work kind of shaking trying to impress him. And I remember we were on some big talk show in Chicago, and it was Jenny Jones, and she goes, "Lydia, you were barking up the wrong tree." But Jimmy would do this big. We would have to walk into the set. It was like a childhood fantasy to be backstage in the set and walk into the room up a staircase. I don't know why I love that kind of thing. The fake staircase. So we were going backstage. We were walking up a staircase, single file. I was behind Jimmy. And he would stick his butt out like a giant, big bustle he was wearing. He was like, and I would just giggle so hard. By the time we get onto the stage, we'd have to come out, and the audience is waiting to see us, and I'd be giggling so I couldn't stop laughing. And that, to me, is the best drug in the world, is laughter. So I would just get high laughing and couldn't stop. It was like, he just made me so happy. So Jimmy and I are very close.
Yeah, to me, he'll always be Prince Valium in Spaceballs.
I just saw that recently.
Yeah.
I auditioned for that movie, and Mel Brooks said, "I want you to come in looking like a Nazi pinup girl in black thigh-high boots." So I wore that whole black leather outfit.
Yeah.
I didn't get the part. I was so
How's working with Deborah Van Valkenburg?
Oh my God, she's the most gifted actress ever. And
yeah.
I wrote a movie called Venus Conspiracy that was meant to be a pilot for a larger film. Like when Billy Bob Thornton did Sling Blade,
yeah,
he did a mini version of the film first to raise money to make the rest of the movie. And so my little 27-minute pilot was supposed to be to make the bigger feature film, which I'm going to make someday soon. It's about a plot to keep women thin and insecure.
Mm-hmm.
And the logline is, "All human suffering is caused by Victoria's Secret." So Deborah plays my sister. We get to fight 20 years later. We made it in 2007. So I directed her. I mean, I got to direct the actors. I had a real director on the set who was so into the camera work, and he was brilliant. Dustin Voigt.
Mm-hmm.
He was 22 years old, and he was just a visionary. But we got this cool thing made, and Deborah played my sister, and we got to bicker and fight, and I auditioned other actresses, and no one could do the part the way Deborah did. She was perfect. Like, every line I wrote, she knew exactly how to do it the way I thought it in my head, you know?
Mm-hmm.
She's a brilliant actress.
Yeah, she's very, very good. You know, she was in The Warriors, the Walter Hill movie. Yeah, she's done some great work. And Nancy is still alive and kicking.
Yes, I just talked to her recently. We're, fingers crossed, we're planning a reboot that I pitched to the producers, and they got the rights finally. They came to me and said, "We got the rights from the British company."
Nice.
It was originally a British show. Like, Three's Company and Too Close for Comfort were originally British shows.
Both shows were shot the same way. I always thought that it was the same production, same producers, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You mean they look similar?
Yeah, they look similar.
Yeah, I think you're right. I wonder what that is. I mean, we had 4 cameras live. When I say live, you know, videotape in front of an audience.
Yeah, like a lot of the shows did.
Mm-hmm. Multi-camera. I kind of like Curb. You know, I did Curb Your Enthusiasm, but I really like single-camera comedy without the laugh track.
I did, yeah. I like both, but I like it when the laughter is real from the real audience, not a laugh track.
Yeah,
you know.
Me too. Yeah. So, what do you prefer? You like both? You know.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, I a lot of shows these days are single camera, you know, and Modern Family, I think, is the one that got the ball rolling on that.
I love that show. Do you think it's funny?
Oh yeah.
It's hysterical, isn't it?
Yeah, and I have a.
Did you see the finale?
I didn't get to see the finale, no.
Well, there's a part you're gonna love. I think you're gonna. After you see it, I'm gonna talk to you and find out if we like the same silly parts.
Okay. Yeah, I started watching that show, especially when I was in the hospital recovering from my accident. I got a huge crush on Sofia Vergara.
Isn't she gorgeous? Oh
yeah.
My God.
She's gorgeous.
She does so many things.
Yeah.
Don't know what I'm talking about. Oh, one of my favorites is my son is 26 years old now, just turned 26, and he works at Sony PlayStation, and he forced me to sit down and binge watch Arrested Development one Christmas a few years ago, And that was my favorite show for a while, Arrested Development, Jason Bateman.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see it?
No, but I've heard of it.
It's so funny.
Yeah, I haven't watched much television in the last decade because of all the craziness that's happened in my life, and then, I went through a period where I was just going out every night and just not watching TV at all.
Where'd you go every night? In Reading?
Well, no, in the Bay Area still when I was there. This is before my accident. I was working in a bar at the time as a bouncer, and I was just at the bar all the time, and I eventually, started drinking, which led to my accident later.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Are you a friend of Bill?
Bill
W.
Bill W. Oh, I personally don't go to AA because when you get hit by a car, that's a 13-step program. You don't need AA by that point.
Wow.
So I've been able to just not go near alcohol, especially since I have a bruised liver, and my doctor told me my liver could bleed if I drink. So.
Wow. Yes. But I mean, how do you keep up your spirits? Do you believe in God?
I believe in God. Yes, I'm not a fan of organized religion, but I believe in
me
God.
Either. But I'm telling you, I had. See, AA to me is not about the drinking at all. It's about the alcoholism. It's about that hole in your soul, the hole in your heart where you can't fill it up with anything but spiritual. The spirits in the bottle are a substitute for the real spirituality that you get in AA. And AA is like the most amazing thing on earth. Right now I'm doing Zoom meetings all over the world. Mm-hmm. There's one meeting from Australia that you see people from New Zealand, South Africa, Ireland, Scotland, Mississippi, all in one meeting. Mm-hmm. And it's like this united force of love. So God is love in action. And I knew a cop who was 39 years sober in AA, like 37 years sober. Mm-hmm. He died of natural causes, but he busted a coke dealer 38 years earlier in the back streets of LA. The coke dealer went to prison. The coke dealer comes out and becomes the cop's sponsor in AA. Mm-hmm. The cop is an atheist. He doesn't believe in God all the way to his death. He says, I don't believe in God, but I can't figure out why I'm still sober. It's this program where we share our pain, and we share our laughter, and we help each other. There's something going on in those rooms. There's so much love, and there's no rules, no leaders. But I'm telling you, there's a spirit of love in there, and I've never felt anything like it.
Yeah, my brother, he's been in rehab since November. He gets out next month, and they're on lockdown right now during quarantine, unfortunately. Yeah. But his alcoholism got pretty bad after his divorce a few years ago, and he just turned into a completely different person, and he became abusive, and that's why we had to have him locked, because he wouldn't stop. He wanted to die.
Oh, God bless him. How old is he?
40. He'll be 47 this year.
And how long has he been in rehab?
For 6 months.
Getting out of rehab.
It'll be 6 months next month.
Oh, thank God he's in there. My baby brother, I found his body. The first year I got sober, I had a series of miracles. I call them miracles because I don't know what else to explain. These God shots, they're uncanny coincidences that it's as if everything was set right. I was in some sort of divine alignment the minute I surrendered and I stopped fighting this thing. And I went into my first meeting. And so many miracles happen. They're unbelievable in a way. Mm-hmm. They're spine tingling, and I tell them when I do my speaking at meetings. But part of it was a forgiveness with my mother, but a God shot of a coincidence that no one else I'd ever heard of having. And the first person I meet in AA had the same exact story, identical, like the same exact thing. Mm-hmm. And then that year, my brother tried heroin 3 times and he died the 3rd time.
Oh my God.
And I found his body, and he was a concert pianist and the most fragile, beautiful, incredible, wonderful person. You know, he wasn't a druggie. He wasn't a person that would ever rip off anybody. And couldn't believe I had to go through this sober and help my mother through it. But the girlfriend he was in love with for 10 years, they'd broken up, but she went off to Dallas to become a Neiman Marcus vice president or whatever. Mm-hmm. I called her to tell her Paul died, and she said, I'm coming to the funeral. She gets in the car. She starts drinking. She drives through the snow through Denver for some reason, hits a whiteout, hits another car, kills an entire family and herself.
God.
Drunk driving, and an 8-year-old little boy was killed too. So this disease is like...
Third time was not the charm.
Oh my gosh.
God. That's
but
terrible.
I stayed sober. It's been 25 years now that I'm sober by the grace of God. I'm really...
So proud of you.
Blown away. Thank you. But it's really just one day at a time, you know?
It is, yeah. Right now I'm addicted to coffee, and I'm trying to quit that out because I don't get enough sleep, you know?
Excuse me.
Do you have a favorite episode of Too Close for Comfort?
I love the one where I auditioned for the Weather Girl.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, it's so funny. For some reason, they use these sound effects when I'm auditioning. Not auditioning. I'm on the Weather Channel or on the local news, and the whole family rushes in to watch me, including Audrey Meadows. Mm-hmm. And for people who don't know Audrey Meadows, she played Jackie Gleason's wife in The Honeymooners.
Right.
Excuse me, my throat's
Right. I love her. She was great.
So they all rush in to watch me on TV, and I'm looking at a map behind me, and I stick on these magnets, and I go, North Dakota needs some sunshine, and I put this cloud over Texas, and then I'm putting, first of all, they shoot to me, and I'm putting a lint brush all over my shoulders, and they go, you're on camera, Sarah, and I throw the lint brush at one of the people off camera, and it hits them in the head. You have to see this episode. It's really silly.
Yeah.
I love all that kind of crazy comedy.
Yeah, I remember the one where Ted plays his own father, and he answers the door, and he's like, "Hi, Dad. You look very old."
I don't believe what year is that? Do you know?
I have no idea. I'd have to look it up.
Was it in one of the original shows?
I can't remember. It's been years since I've seen it.
Oh my gosh, I gotta find that. I don't remember that one.
And of course, there was the one where Monroe gets raped.
Raped by 2 women?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was the forbidden episode. Apparently we didn't even know it existed till... I don't remember even filming it. So it's some sort of Netherworld Twilight Zone episode. Yeah,
and it's funny. Around that same time, Richard Crenna did a TV movie of the week where he plays a cop who gets raped by a couple of street thugs.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, and he won an Emmy for it.
Wow, how weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Richard Crenna played Patty Duke's husband in a series she did for ABC about, she played a female president.
Yes, I remember that show.
How bizarre. I love it. Well, I need to find the rape episode. Actually, yes. I did Dueling Decades recently, the podcast, and they sent me a link to it, the forbidden episode. It's not, you can't find it anywhere else, so I gotta watch it.
Wow. and the irony of irony, the forbidden episode of Different Strokes with the pedophile bicycle man is available everywhere, especially YouTube.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I've seen it.
I didn't know. What were we thinking back then? We're trying to be daring and sexy.
Well, yeah, and you're trying to, tell the truth about what really goes on, and it still goes on to this day.
I guess, yeah. I mean, in my industry, when I first came to California, a couple of times I had, Me Too things happen to me. The first agent I met at a big agency, William Morris, he had his pants pulled down behind the desk. And he said, come over here. You want to sit on my lap? And I went, oh, no, I've got to go. And I was giggling, and I twirled away so I wouldn't make him feel bad about himself. That's how we acted towards men who do those kind of things.
Yeah, I mean, you seem very free-spirited, and if something like that were to happen, you would find humor in it, even though you had a little bit of vulnerability, I'm sure. Well,
it wasn't like humor as much as just, I didn't want the man to feel bad about himself, but I was rejecting him.
Yeah.
That's what's so screwed up, is that women took it for granted men were going to be predators in those days. But I didn't want to bash them for it. And by the way, today I still don't want to, ever name names about people who ever did things to me in those days, because I kind of blame our culture a bit.
Yeah.
Of course, I didn't meet a Harvey Weinstein, And if I stayed in the room longer, he might have turned into a Harvey Weinstein. But there are some really bad people, like Harvey. But I certainly don't want to ruin anyone's reputation at this point. I mean, our culture was sort of into this pole dancing, and lap dancing became really big during the Wall Street crash.
Yeah.
And I blame our culture. I mean, they had me in bikini posters. Women are like half naked on the runway, and we're expecting men not to be thinking it's a free-for-all. It's kind of, we're putting it all out there. Advertising became kind of a form of pedophilia, I think. Britney Spears was dancing around with a midriff top, and she was only 11.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're over-sexualizing young women and young boys.
Mm-hmm.
Calvin Klein ads, it was like making everyone into a sex object.
It was gross, yeah.
You know, and so then you wonder why our culture feels it's okay to just touch everything. Go up to a woman and grab her.
Yeah, I've never agreed with that, ever.
No, I know. But our culture made it seem easy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and lap dancing became a national pastime. I remember women were having their baby showers at pole dancing clubs.
Mm-hmm.
And
oh, my God.
Walmart was selling poles to exercise with. Even my grandmother went out and bought a pole to pole dance. I'm like, what is going on? And then porn becomes mainstream. And then you wonder why men are being accused of thinking it's okay.
Yeah.
You know.
I know, that's what I try to do with my persona and stuff, you know. I try to, educate the men out there that, certain talking to women certain ways is not okay, you know. But,
good. I'm glad.
But if they're, tomboys, or they know you very well, and stuff,
mm-hmm.
then you can, then that's okay. But just, you got to just choose your words wisely with women, I feel now.
Yeah. I do feel sorry for boys and men, though. I raised 3 boys and 2 dogs, including my husband,
mm-hmm.
and they all went through puberty at the same time. That's a stand-up comedy line, sorry. I always try to stick that in every conversation.
That's good.
But I raise boys, and I feel sorry for them that they have to grow up in a world where they're not allowed to flirt with a girl at work. And everything's so scary now, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty scary. I can't even remember the last time I flirted with somebody. It's been a long time.
You gotta go out and flirt.
Yeah.
This is quarantine's over.
I'm afraid.
No fear.
How was the experience making Blood Tide?
Oh, what a trip. First of all, can you imagine coming to LA after being in Holland where my dad just died? Mm-hmm. I got a TV series, and within 3 weeks later I get a movie where they take me to the Greek Isles, and I have posters of me, full-length posters all over Cannes Film Festival. They're wrapped around every pole. There's a picture of me and the other 2 women, mm-hmm. full length. And I'm thinking, wow, I get a movie and I get a TV series, and I was like having to rush between 2 things. And the good news is that the movie was 9 weeks in the Greek Isles, and my TV series we had to start shooting in July. And the movie ended. They wanted to keep me longer there, and suddenly there was an actor's strike, which delayed us coming back to do those series.
Right.
So I had all the time in the world. I had lots of time to finish the movie. It was weird. We were stuck on a place called Monemvasia, which is the end of the Aegean Sea. It's like a Rock of Gibraltar. And we had an ancient cathedral, and we had mules and donkeys carrying the camera equipment up to the cathedral to film up there. And down below, we were all living in castle rooms, mm-hmm. right on the ocean. And James Earl Jones had a castle room. He was married to a school teacher at the time. He wasn't quite famous yet, but he was really up and coming, and he'd done Othello, that booming voice. So he and I played smuggling buddies, and I had to drown, and they wanted to show me topless. And I remember, I just knew in my heart I never wanted to do nudity.
Yeah.
I never wanted my kids to see me doing that. I didn't want to be exploited that way. So I refused to do nudity, but they wanted to just catch the back of me with no top on. And we're out in the middle of this ocean beach. No one speaks English. I'm with the wardrobe lady, and she speaks only Greek. And I couldn't even remember how to say. When I first got there, I couldn't express that I needed water. I kept saying, water, go. I kept trying to show that I was thirsty. And they go, oh, nero, para calor. And I'm like, okay. So I tried to explain to her I don't want my boobs showing, and I kept pantomiming it. And she finally about a mile, and I get sucked under by some creature, and I had to look like I'm drowning, right? And they're filming me from underneath and from up above. And sure enough, none of the nudity, they didn't show anything.
Oh.
I sneaked into the DP's cave, though, at night, and I got just out of fear one day, I took the first entire roll of tape. It was a big can of film. I sneaked in and stole it. I was afraid that I was naked on there, and they had to reshoot all that stuff. It was really crazy.
Yeah. I found out that Jeff Bridges originally signed on to do the movie, but then dropped out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if it's true or not, though.
Oh, my God, my favorite movie is Big Lebowski.
Yeah, he's great in that movie.
One of my favorite movies. Do you remember the scene with Ben Gazzara?
Yeah.
The Porn King's place, and
yeah.
Jeff Bridges is sort of relaxing on the couch, and Ben Gazzara gets a phone call.
Yeah, Steve Buscemi is great in that movie, too.
And he writes down something, and Jeff Bridges sneaks over when he's gone out of the room, and he scribbles to see what he'd written down, and it was a picture of the guy's balls. And that is so brilliant. That was the most brilliant moment in the movie.
It's a brilliant movie. Everything Jeff Bridges does, he's great in.
Isn't he?
Yeah. He's a national treasure, that guy.
He is. I used to go to all their tennis tournaments. Bo Bridges and Jeff Bridges and Lloyd Bridges would have ski and tennis tournaments all the time.
Really?
Robert Conrad. Yeah, up in Tahoe.
Robert Conrad, we just lost him.
I know. He's such a gorgeous actor.
Yeah. You guest starred on Love Boat several times. How was that?
Did I? Yeah, I did 6 Love Boats.
Wow, 6. They just kept bringing you back.
Oh, I forgot to tell you. My first the way I got discovered was I came to L.A. after my dad died, and I finished working for Jack Webb, was called back to Holland, came back, and I was invited to dinner at La Scala restaurant in Beverly Hills by an agent. And he was sort of a predator, this agent. He was kind of like a man about town. I remember I'll go with him just to get a nice dinner, you know. I'm living in a little apartment that Florence Henderson's sister was the manager of in Beverly Hills, a single apartment with a Murphy bed.
Yeah.
And he picks me up. We go to dinner at La Scala. I walk in. At the front booth is Aaron Spelling, Fred Astaire, Natalie Wood, and Robert Wagner sitting together.
Oh, my God.
I'll never forget going, oh, I was so starstruck. I was like shaking walking past their table. And I sit down at the booth. Jerome Zeitman was the agent who took me to dinner. He knew them. And he waved to them. He was also kind of impressed, you know, to see people he wanted to connect with. And we sat in this fancy booth across from them. And Natalie Wood looked up at me and she summoned me over with one finger.
Come
And I
hither.
walked over shaking and she goes, Mr. Spelling would like to meet you. Because you're, you know, a new pretty girl in town. That's how it was. You know, he looked through all the newcomers.
Yeah.
And he said, are you an actress? And I said, yes. And he goes, would you like to meet my casting department, Kathy Henderson, tomorrow? She cast Love Boat and a new series we're doing called Bad Cats. And Bad Cats was Beach Detectives. Michelle Pfeiffer got the part. But I got my first Love Boat out of that, and then I got a Charlie's Angels, and then they called me into audition for a show called Blue Jeans, with Leonard Goldberg produced, and I didn't get it. But because of that one audition, the next thing they invited me to do was Too Close for Comfort audition. So
Nice.
in those days, if you get one pilot audition, like Blue Jeans, you sign 7 years of your life away. You're not allowed to go do another audition until you're rejected from that one. So the odds of getting to be in a series is pretty, you know, the odds are pretty enormous because you have to get into the series, you got to get cast in the series out of 400 people, then you have to be, you know, ready to let go, ready to sign up 7 years of your life.
That explains why so many TV people in those days were fucked up.
Yeah, totally.
Because you couldn't, you know, if you were doing TV, you couldn't do movies unless you were somebody like James Gardner or Tom Selleck or Michael J. Fox, you know. And if you did do movies, they had to be B movies for like the Roger Corman Company. You couldn't do anything really, really good. You know, it's no wonder that they all, you know, turned out the way they did. It's just sad.
Well, we weren't allowed. If you were on TV, you were not cool enough to do a movie. When I was on TV,
yeah,
And then soap stars could never break into primetime, except Demi Moore did it somehow.
Yeah.
She came after me. She was in the 90s, I think.
Yeah.
So, but there was like a class system. TV people weren't good enough to do movies, and then suddenly it all broke through. Farrah Fawcett had to go do Burning Bed and Extremities to be considered a serious actress, so she had to be raped on Broadway.
That's a good way of putting it.
Ugly, huh?
That's a good way of putting it, though.
Yeah, in order to be a serious actress. Like Charlize Theron, she had to gain weight and play Monster. That movie about the serial killer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Taken seriously as an actress, she had to take off all her makeup, gain weight, and look ugly to be considered a serious actress.
That's sad.
Yeah.
You guest starred on a 2-part episode of The Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
The pet monkey.
The pet monkey, yeah.
And Stephanie Kramer played my bodyguard, and I got to go do Hunter with her.
Oh, she's one of my dream guests.
Oh, you should just call her and ask her.
I think I messaged her on Facebook a few years ago, and I never heard back.
I'll try to reach her for you. I don't know if she'll respond to me either. I don't have her home number, but I'll try.
Oh, thanks. That'd be great. I remember when you were on Full House, too.
Oh, yeah. DJ's Spanish teacher.
Yeah. Her sister, Kimmy Gibbler, turns the D into an A.
That's right.
Yeah, I remember that one so well. I've seen every episode 100 times since they first aired.
Really?
I'm a big Full House guy. Even though the humor is cheesy, I find the humor hilarious, especially in certain situations.
I do too. I think Kimmy Gibbler's hilarious.
Oh yeah, she's got stinky feet.
She's so funny. Did you say sneaky feet?
Yeah, she's got stinky feet all the time on that show.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Was Lori Loughlin on there when you were on it?
Yeah, she was. She and, what's his name? Oh, John Stamos.
John Stamos.
He took me to lunch one day. John Stamos, the other one, Bouvier.
Oh, yeah, Dave Coulier.
I called him Bouvier. Dave Coulier and Bob Saget all took me to lunch.
Oh.
But what happened on that show, Jeff Franklin was a friend of mine from the Gary Shandling show. Mm-hmm. I was dating Gary Shandling years ago. He dated Sharon Stone also, I think. But I was dating Gary. I went to see the Gary Shandling show. I met Jeff Franklin. And Jeff and I became good friends. He created Full House. So he said, I want you to come in and just do this part. I'm a Spanish teacher because I speak Spanish fluently. And I had a dark hair at the time. I dyed my hair dark for Quantum Leap. Mm-hmm. And to be taken more seriously as an actress. And that's when I got the Full House. But Jeff Franklin, up until 3 years ago, I used to go to his big house. He owns the entire mountain. He made a fortune off Full House.
Yeah.
The creator. And he bought an entire mountain in Bel Air. But it was where the Charles Manson murders happened. He bought the Manson house.
Really?
And the 4 houses attached in that area. And it's this beautiful estate. He tore down everything. And he built a mega mansion. It looked like a hotel. It's like a mini Hefner retreat with a lagoon pool and waterfalls. And he has really big parties up there. He had the Beach Boys up there singing with John Stamos. Mm-hmm. And I met Donovan's son, Donovan Fight, whatever. Remember Donovan?
I know who you're talking about. His sister is Ione Skye. Yeah,
and then he had Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown up there before she died. And we used to go up to these wild parties, and Gary Marshall was always there. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of pictures from those parties. But the first time I went up there, he invited me to dinner, and I'm sitting there outside by the pool, and I look up, and there's the tree that saw the Manson murders, the same tree that witnessed all the murders. I'm like, I got this really creepy feeling, like it was right there when all the slashing happened.
Yeah.
And he built a pool over it, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to be here. I ran inside.
Oh, man. Yeah, Jeff Franklin wrote 2 of my favorite top 10 teen comedies of the 80s.
No way, Summer School?
Summer School and Just One of the Guys.
And my good friend Courtney Thorne-Smith was in Summer School.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she plays the teacher who has a crush. Oh, she's the student who has a crush on Mark Harmon, who's the teacher in that movie. Yeah. And she tries to seduce him in one scene.
I don't think I've seen it in years. I think I saw saw it once at his house in the screening room.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. I know that your son's father is Jim Mulholland, the screenwriter. Yeah. He wrote one of my favorite comedies, Oscar.
You remember Oscar with Sly Stallone?
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
I love that movie. And he even plays Oscar at the end.
That's right. Oh, I can't wait for him to hear this podcast so he can remember that. He wrote Amazon Women on the Moon.
Yes.
The Ratings Game with Danny DeVito.
Oh God, that was like one of the first like TV movies for Showtime.
Isn't that weird? And he wrote Bad Boys, the original Bad Boys.
Oh, I didn't realize he wrote Bad Boys.
With Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. He and his partner, Mulholland Berry. Nice. He wrote Letterman together and Johnny Carson together.
Nice. So going back to the alcoholism and stuff, what was your breaking point that made you quit?
Oh, wow. It's interesting. I finally told the real story out loud to a news reporter who called me. She said, I want to do a story on you. And it was for Fox News Entertainment. And it finally just came out in January. Excuse me. I had a brand new baby, my little boy, and I'd been drinking for years, kind of periodically drinking. I was writing a great American novel, the big novel, and all the scenes in a nightclub and in Paris, in the Paris cafes, I would drink wine to write. And then I would call the liquor store and have them deliver. I kept saying, I'm having a cocktail party for my husband. I would make up all these stories to try to get the liquor store to deliver liquor. Even though I was trying to fool the minimum wage clerk on the other side of the line, I don't really know what single malt whiskey is. And I would pretend not to, I don't know who I was trying to trick, some employee delivery person. But that's what we do. We cover. I began hiding it from friends. I began drinking in the daytime. I began going to lunches at Ma Maison, where all the producers would go, Jack Lemmon and Sidney Beckerman and movie stars, and I would drink wine at lunch. And then I'd carry that on all afternoon, and I'd order liquor to be delivered, or I'd go pick it up. And always pretending like I didn't drink.
Yeah.
This game I played. And I thought I was okay, and I didn't know what AA was. I kept thinking, someday I'll quit. It was like the movie Airplanes. I picked a bad day to quit drinking.
Yeah.
You drink when you're happy, you drink when you're sad. Pretty soon I was drinking to celebrate, just getting my hair done one day or something. And I didn't have any sense of balance. But I remember when I got pregnant, and I turned out I had the test done. It was a perfect baby boy. And everything was fine. Of course, I quit drinking the entire pregnancy. It was just a blissful time.
Yeah.
And then, the minute he was born, I sneaked to Thrifty, Rite Aid. Thrifty. So Zsa Zsa Gabor got arrested in Beverly Hills. And I sneaked in there, and my mom and sister were taking care of the baby. And I got little bottles of vodka and scotch, and I started hiding it in my bedroom. I was a single mom. Jim and I, it's a long story, that whole part of it. I wasn't sure I wanted to marry him, and I wasn't sure if we were supposed to be married or whatever. But my mom and sister were taking care of the baby, and I was recovering, and I was drinking secretly. And then one day, they called me over. I drove around for Labor Day weekend. I drove around with the baby in the car seat to go to different Labor Day barbecues. And I would leave the baby on the car seat sitting on a picnic table, and I'd go in the house and look for liquor at people's homes. This is what we do. This is an AA story of how I tell the story. But I became so demoralized that weekend. I couldn't get drunk. I just kept getting more puffy. Like the liquor wasn't working anymore, and I was feeling it was incomprehensible demoralization, driving with the baby in the car, risking that. And the night before the worst day of my life, I was drinking all night, vodka, and the baby was crying in the next room. And suddenly I woke up and it was morning, and the baby was still crying in the next room, and the doorbell was ringing downstairs at the bottom of a steep, long staircase. I had a townhouse in Beverly Hills. And I went to pick up the baby, and I was dancing around with this. I put on some Jackson Brown, some really uplifting suicide music, and I carried him to the top of the stairs, and I went into a complete blackout at the top of the stairs. And to this day, I don't know how I got down the stairs. All I remember was opening the door at the bottom of the stairs, and the light woke me up, and my mother was standing there screaming with my uncle, trying to introduce my uncle to the new baby. Mm-hmm. So that was the turning point, the most horrible day of my life. And 2 days later, they did an intervention, and I was pointing at my brother. I went, Paul, he's in the room here. He's the pothead. And they said, but you're the one with the baby. We're taking your baby away from you. Oh. And even that, I said, I'll go to Brotman Hospital tomorrow. There's a doctor in the room. I went to Brotman wearing a short, dark wig and sunglasses, saying, I'm too famous to be sober. I actually said that, I think. Oh. And he said, everyone in town is sober, including, he mentioned all the stars of different strokes and different people who'd gone to Brotman Hospital for rehab. And I said, I don't need rehab. I can do this by myself. And I realized I couldn't. And for some bizarre reason, on Tuesday morning, September 11th, 1994, my son was 6 months old. I woke up and I walked to the Good Shepherd Church in Beverly Hills, and I entered my first AA meeting wearing a hat and sunglasses. I don't know how I got there. I keep thinking I walked. I know I didn't drive. I might have taken a cab. To this day, I don't know how I got there. Mm-hmm. But I was just sort of like mesmerized into going there. I found out there was a meeting. I was going to go. I walk in, and there's a room full of shiny, beautiful women, all laughing and talking. And there's a woman at the podium, and she says this. She's speaking. And she says, if you wandered into this room and you don't know you're an alcoholic, let's put it this way. Virgins don't take pregnancy tests. And the whole room roared with laughter again. And I'm like, God, this is a neat place. I thought alcoholics were homeless people and, sitting on the street corner. And, I have some really good friends that are homeless right now, and I really don't mean to say that in a derogatory way, because in L.A., God knows, it costs $2,500 a month to get an apartment here,
We were homeless for 4 years in the Bay Area.
Oh, God bless you. And I went through 3 years of hardship like that where I didn't know, I had no place to live also. I didn't know whether to live, in Palmdale or Lancaster or after I lost my home and everything. But God restored everything. But during this process, though, in 1994, I'm in this meeting, and suddenly I sit down. You can smell cinnamon pastries and coffee brewing, and 100 women in the room, and they're all happy, shiny faces. They all look sober. And a lot of them were rich women and famous women. They were in the drunk tank at one time. They were all like mothers and actresses. And they said, are there any alcoholics present? And my hand shot up without my permission. And they were looking up there, and at that moment, that was my first surrender. And I cried a river. Tears of 20 years of hell just came off me. It was like I was unburdening, just admitting it.
Yeah.
And that's when every miracle in the world started for me. It was unbelievable miracles. And I don't want to tell you the whole thing now, but some other time. But I've never had a drink since that day.
Yeah.
So many great things happened from that moment on.
I haven't.
My son's never seen me drink. So.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is so heartwarming. I haven't had a drink since the night of the accident.
God bless you.
There was a lot of alcohol consumption that night, I'll tell you.
I'm so glad you're alive. I'm so happy you're here.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey, I'll tell you.
May I interview you for my podcast? I have a podcast called God Shots. It's not religious. God Shots means coincidence, synchronicity, and just beautiful things.
Absolutely, Lydia. I would love to do that. Let's set it up. Set up a day.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love that.
So, did you listen to episodes of me before you prepared for this?
No, I haven't had a chance. By the way, last week our internet was completely out, and we're trying to do. I was teaching at LMU on Zoom. I wasn't teaching this last week, but someone I live with was. So
the reason I ask is the reason I ask.
Listen to it now.
The reason I ask is because you've been so good this whole time, and we're at the point now where we play my secret silly game.
Oh no! What is it?
It's silly slumber party questions.
Okay.
And how this works is I ask you the questions, you answer them, and then you ask me the exact same questions and I answer them.
Okay.
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 You'll get a kick out of this.
Do I have to know this by heart? Should I have studied this before?
No.
Okay.
No. Lydia, are you ticklish?
Yes.
Awesome. And then you ask me.
Oh, I have to. Are you ticklish?
I am baby ticklish.
Baby ticklish. Where?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
My feet especially.
Okay.
What is your favorite part of the body? It could be anything.
My favorite part of my body?
Of anybody's.
My eyes.
Eyes. That's a popular one.
The eyes of everybody, yeah.
That's a popular one. And then you ask me.
Oh, what is the favorite part of your body, Tommy?
It used to be my favorite body part, but in general, it's my favorite body part. I love the belly button.
That's good.
Yeah.
Why?
It's just this middle ground between being a private part and a non-private part. It's so sexy, and it's funny. I just found out recently the reason why Barbara Eden and everybody back in the 60s couldn't show their belly buttons on TV is because people thought that it enticed what was lying down below and above. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's interesting.
That makes sense.
And I used to wear hip hugger, landlubber, midriff tops. I mean, belly, hip hugger jeans and midriff tops to college. I had my belly button showing all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
What color are your toenails painted?
Coral. A coral pink.
Oh, that's good. And for me...
What are your toenails painted?
They're not painted right now. Last time they were purple with sparkles back in
I love it.
September, October, and then I haven't had them through the winter months, but now that spring is here and summer's coming, I need to come up with something really good.
Oh, I love it. Something Easter egg color, because we missed all of our fun spring colors.
Mm-hmm. What would you say is your best personality trait?
My humor. Ability to see humor and absurdity in life.
That I agree. You have that.
And you too? What is your best trait?
My sense of empathy, number one.
I love that, yeah.
And also, too, the fact that I'm not easily offended and I have no filter.
I love that. That's really cool.
Might be also. And then my favorite question, is there a stinky smell that just makes you gag?
Yeah, it's a strange, hollow, it's not the normal thing. It's, let me think. You know when dishes aren't washed in the dishwasher, it's a strange smell of egg yolk or something.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
And it's not something other people notice as much. I just can't drink out of, I have to rewash the dishes. It's really weird. I have a very strange sense of smell. I have the nose of a bloodhound. I can smell a mile away. I can smell strange smells. So I'm like a little hypersensitive about everything in that arena.
My mother is too. She's Italian.
But, stinky cheese and feet, that doesn't bother me.
Really? Because that's what I was going to say. Farts and feet are the two things I can't stand.
Oh, gross. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. By the way, my mother trained me to never like the word stinky, so even the word offends me a little. I'm really weird sometimes. Oh. Also, the word cozy is very personal.
Uh-huh.
I used to have a blanket called the cozy blanket when I was little, and I thought it was a very personal word. So in college, my college boyfriend used the word cozy out loud, and I turned beet red and started sweating. What's wrong with you? And I said, don't use that word in public. And he said it really loud 3 times in the grocery store. I almost fainted.
Well, I hope I didn't lose any brownie points by mentioning that word.
Okay. It's like some weird, how our mind, whatever we've been given, we internalize it in a weird way.
That is true. Would you like to hear a couple of jokes?
Yes.
Okay. What's the difference? You know the difference between a golf ball and a G-spot? A man will spend 20 minutes looking for a golf ball.
Good one. Touche.
Oh, this one is so bad. I actually wrote it last week.
Can you write your own jokes?
Oh, yeah. I've been doing stand-up for 14 years now.
Oh, fantastic.
Been taking a break the last 2 years, but I still write even when I'm not performing.
Oh, this is good to know. Oh, my God. You should be on some open mics we're having online.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's very competitive, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
But this is what I wrote. How do you fuck your sister in a moral way?
I don't steal her cookies. I don't know.
Finger bang her and look away.
Wait, say it again.
Finger bang her and look away.
Oh my God. Horrible.
That is horrible, huh?
Well, I have to tell you, I have a female partner. We're writing comedy together, but I went to her club to see her perform, and I'm like, everyone was performing. Everybody did dirty jokes like that, and I'm so clean.
Yeah.
For some reason, I'm like mortified by, and I was looking forward to using the F word at one comedy club, and then they told me I couldn't use it right before I went on. I was looking forward to use the F word.
What club was that?
The Warehouse. It's where I have a club called Serving Up Comedy for charity.
Uh-huh.
And they won't let us use the F word in them.
Oh, yeah. If there's a charity there, yeah, then you can't use it.
It's also because younger people go to the restaurant and they can hear you in the other part of the bar.
Yeah. So
I have one joke. I did this on the Drew Carey show. I did it to Drew Carey.
Yeah.
Said, Lydia, you're obviously a mother. You're such a mom. Okay, so if you're a Frenchman in the kitchen, an Italian in the bedroom, what are you in the bathroom?
What?
European.
That's good.
I didn't write it, but I love that joke. It's so nerdy.
Did the guy who wrote that joke win an Emmy?
I don't know who wrote it, but Drew Carey made fun of me for that one. He goes, "You're such a mom."
You're such a mom.
You're so clean.
That's a good one. I like that. So, what are your plans or projects for the future after quarantine?
I'm on a deadline right now. It's 3 weeks overdue. I have a book that's due, and I have to spend the rest of the day getting energy back to write. I've been putting it off, trying to rewrite this book called Hiding My Brain in My Bra. It was all funny. Now it's got some drama in it, and now it's a more linear memoir. But basically, every tragedy in my life turns into comedy, so I can't filter it through any other lens. It's about divorce and raising aliens, living with a Neanderthal, raising aliens, boys, overcoming. It's really a recovery memoir, but there's a lot of humor in it. And it's about showbiz and all the crazy, embarrassing, humiliating celebrity encounters I've had. And kind of how to navigate life as a woman. And I had Airbnb roommates. After my husband left, I had to rent rooms on Airbnb in my home. So I had 5 bedrooms, and every room was rented. I had roommates from all over the world. Persia. I mean, China, Russia, Paris, London. And it was so much fun. It was like I had the United Nations at my house, and it was a really fun adventure. There was one roommate who stole condiments. She was a condiment kleptomaniac. So we put a hidden camera in the fridge inside the milk carton. She wouldn't steal jewelry. You could leave your Tiffany jewelry out, and she wouldn't steal anything but ketchup and mustard and pickles. And I'm like, what is she doing in her room? She was from Russia.
Yeah.
But I ended up having, writing comedy out of it. So I have to finish writing this book, and then I'm writing a screenplay. I'm writing the pilot for the reboot for Too Close for Comfort.
Oh, nice. I write
screenplays. I'm also finishing that book on Stalin.
I write screenplays all the way, all the time. I'm actually working on this. This was one I've been thinking about for the last 3 years. I think this is the right time to start writing it. It's a romantic comedy in a Judd Apatow kind of a way, and it's got dirty humor in it and stuff. And I think I'm ready to start writing it.
Do it.
Yeah.
When you say you're ready, does that mean you sit down and write that day, or do you prep in the morning and do you write every day for a certain amount of hours?
Yeah, I'm like a 10 pages a day kind of guy.
That's incredible. Oh God. So I have to get off the phone now and start writing. I've got to write while I have energy, because then I get tired and I have more coffee in the afternoon.
Yeah, same here.
A certain point where coffee doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, Lydia, this has been so amazing. You're just an amazing, inspiring lady, and I'm
Well,
glad.
thank you, Tommy. You are such a great guy. I never knew how deep and thoughtful and sweet you were.
Oh, thank you so much. I try, and I'm so glad we got to talk today. And so, yeah, let's talk. An email about me coming on your podcast.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I'm going to start, hopefully at the end of next week, start taping people. Can I ask you, how do you tape your phone calls?
oh my
I only
God,
do Skype, which records when they call me on Skype, but how do you do this? How do you record this?
I have an iPhone that doesn't have any service anymore, but I can still use the camera. So I put the camera on top, the phone with the camera going on top of the iPhone, or on top of the landline, I should say, and I record it that way.
So you mean I'm not being recorded internally by some app? You can just hear me coming straight out to you
Just coming straight out to me, yeah.
on a camera, on
Yeah,
the iPhone camera.
yes.
Wow. Okay, I got to figure out a good way to do that with a really good sound. And also, could I get a copy of this? I actually need to. They're doing an article on me about my childhood, and I forgot to record what I was saying at the beginning.
Yeah.
And they want it by Monday. So if I could get a copy of the first half of this, at least just to hear the El Paso stuff.
Yeah, as soon as we're done, I'm going to upload it and edit a lot of stuff at the beginning that, there was a lot of silence between my intro and waiting for your call. I'm going to edit that out, and then I can just send the whole episode to you.
Thank you, Don. Oh, I love you. Then I can transcribe it without having to remember it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you're so cool. I'm so glad we made this thing happen today.
I am too, Lydia. You have yourself a great day, and don't work too hard.
Thank you. I won't.
Okay.
God bless you. Have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you later.
God bless you. Okay,
Okay.
bye-bye.
Awesome.
Well, there you have it. Lydia Cornell. Ain't she a sweetheart? Oh, such a sweet, kind, humble lady who's been through a lot and doesn't let her get her down. She's going out there and slugging out one after another. Love her. She is awesome. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes.